Hey everyone, good morning, good morning. It's Rita from Miss Rita to the Rescue. How are you all doing today? Gonna give a few minutes to see if I can't get a few people to come on today for doing, we're gonna be doing all about iron-on, and we're gonna be ironing on to a canvas tote. We're gonna talk all about all the ins and outs of iron-on and the different kinds of iron-on and the terms, how to weed it, how to find the images, how to use the heat guide, how to use the Easy Press, which is over here to the left. Good morning, Amy. So I want to give people a few minutes to come on and just before I get started, so I don't want anybody to miss anything. But if you're the kind of person that has seen iron-on, and or maybe you have an Easy Press. Good morning, Dorothy. Good morning, Lori Jo. Oh, Prince Edward Island. Yes. Hi, Wanda. So if you've seen iron-on, and a lot of people, by the way, call it HTV, the letters HTV, which stands for Heat Transfer Vinyl. This is a term, it's an industry term, but Cricut has always called it just iron-on. I think because HTV can be a little confusing for somebody new, and Cricut's always looking to make things easy for everyone. Thank you for sharing, Penny. To make things easy so people don't get intimidated. And I think when people hear all the little, HTV and 651 and all of that, they can get a little intimidated. So, so I've always called it iron-on. And there are so many options of iron-on that Cricut sells. Sorry, I had a little interruption. I thought I put my phone on do not interrupt. I hope it doesn't do it again. But so to get back, there are so many different iron-on. A few years ago, before Cricut really got into the Easy Press, there were some original, like the iron-on that they had, and it looked like this. And I want to show you, this is one of the original iron-ons. And it was a good product, but it wasn't there weren't a lot of really innovative things in there. But since then, they have spent tons of time and money on innovating their product, and they've added a lot of different kinds of options, including something called Strong Bond, which is a guarantee. So here it is. You'll see this on some of the rolls, most of the rolls, right? It says Strong Bond, which basically it's a guarantee that Cricut makes with you that if you follow the proper instructions, and the instructions are in the tube, that the iron-on will last. And I've actually seen this demonstrated with a t-shirt that was put through like hundreds of times in the wash, and no peeling, flaking, or lifting on it. And it was just dramatic to me. So I wanted to make you guys aware of the fact that if you tried iron-on years ago, you might want to give it another look now, because in addition to the Strong Bond guarantee, there's so many choices out there. Now, there are other manufacturers, but because I am a Cricut, person, I don't usually use those other things. So if people have other experiences with different manufacturers and they like them, that's wonderful. Cricut doesn't say you cannot use certain things with your machines, but this is a Cricut brand, and I've always gone by the, if I have an Apple phone, I'm going to use an Apple earpiece or Apple charger because it's compatible, and that's why I've always done it that way. So anyway, let me talk to you about some of the different kinds of iron-on, because I don't think people really realize it. I'm just going to I've got so much stuff here to show you today. So this is what's called everyday iron-on, okay? And this is actually in a metallic, and this is in just a pink. okay? And what you get is usually you get a roll like this. Comes in a roll, and sometimes you can get it as a sampler, sometimes it's just one color. And it comes in things like, obviously, neon, it comes in holographic, it comes in patterns like this, and it also comes in mesh, and like I said, metallics, foils, all kinds of stuff. But it's essentially the same. It's a piece of paper, piece of vinyl that has two sides to it, okay? There's a shiny side and there's a matte side. Okay, Mika, we won't talk really loud. We won't talk really loudly. Okay, so the shiny side, which you'd think, oh, that must be the side that I'm going to put on my mat, is actually not the side. The shiny side always goes down on the mat. And this is the part that you're going to actually be cutting. So when you're cutting these out, you put it on a mat. Now, I have this on a purple mat. Honestly, it could go on a green mat. I just happen to have the purple one, and I pulled out that one. So see what I've done? I've put the shiny side here onto the sticky part of the mat. And then I put this into my machine, and it cuts out on the matte side. Now, this is really important to get this concept, because when you're doing this, after you cut it out and take it off and peel it away, you're going to end up with this. So this is the shiny side. I cut it shiny side down. So you see, this is a pattern. And I cut it, so I have to mirror my image. Mirroring images is something that's a rookie mistake that everybody does. So if you do it, that's okay. It's just, it's confusing, I think, for people, because they're like, I thought I did it all right. So I want to show you first how you do that on your Design Space canvas, okay? And then I'm going to show you how to weed, and then we're going to put it on these canvases. So this is what we're working on. I just got to move this all out of the way. Let me grab my laptop. Okay. Oops. Let's see here. Let me open Design Space. Okay. So first you have to pick out a design. That's probably the hardest part. I found these designs. Let's see, I start off with a blank slate, which is my canvas, right? We all know that. And so we're going to look for an image. Now, you can also upload your own image. That's fine. If you buy something on Etsy, that's fine. You can do that too. But for the sake of just beginners, we're going to start with the images that are in Design Space, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to Images right here, and we're going to choose that. And I happen to, let's go back. So here's what you'd get when you go to Images, right? And I was looking for something that was, you know, kind of a tote thing, like Tote Life or something like that. You're right, Bren. Bren's saying Cricut should have a little voice before you hit, did you mirror your image? So what I did was I went to the library of images and I typed in the word tote, just like that. Usually the simpler a search, the better with the Cricut search engine is what I've found. Now I found this My Little Canvas Tote, but I wanted to show you a little trick here. You might say, oh, I love that. Maybe there are more like that. Maybe there are more like that and I just don't know how to find them, or they don't have the word tote in them. So here is a little trick. See down below each of these images, there's like an eye with a circle around it. If you touch on that eye, you get the description. This is the image number, which you can also search by. But below it, it says View Image Sets. And it's green and it's clickable. So I'm going to click on it. And when I click on it, this brings up the entire set of images called Totes love. There's 24 images in there. That's where I got that namaste when I did that infusible ink on the aluminum foil. But there's like a book one. Look at these beautiful eyes that we can use that for like the makeup case. And then here's I got this, and so these are really cute. And there's an option, you know, you can pull any one of these into your design space. So let's pull this one in. The I've got this. So I just click on that and do insert images, and it brings it to my canvas. Now I want to size this for a canvas tote, which I bought at Amazon, and I will try to put the link after the description. But I bought these as like, I don't know, a dozen or so. Yeah, and someone, who is it? Christine is saying, still find design space images confusing. They can be. And, you know, the thing is there's a lot of images, first of all, and they are constantly working on it. In the last couple of years, they've quadrupled or maybe more the images that they've used or that they have in design space, and many of them are part of what's called Access, which is a subscription service that you can buy through Cricut. You're not obligated to buy it, but you can buy it, okay? And we can have a conversation about doing searches, you know, just all about searches. If you want to do that, that would be good. Okay, so here's my image. Now it comes in, the size is about 4.5 by 5 inches high, but because I have a really large tote, I want to resize it because I want it to be like really big. Now the maximum that you can do for any image, and I say that with a little caveat, but generally speaking, the maximum is 11.5 inches, and this is for the Explorer or the Maker. Now, remember, with the Joy, your maximum one of your lengths can only be 4.25 inches, okay? But for maximum of 11.5. And the reason why I say caveat is that you could also do a longer image, but one of the measurements cannot exceed 11.5 inches, which is basically the size of a mat, okay? So I want to resize this, and I want to make it, this is a pretty big one, so I'm going to resize this. And in this case, it's not a square image. So I want to make sure that my width, which is smaller than my height, so my width is not the one that's 11.5 inches. It's going to be the height that's 11.5 inches, I think, or I could even do 11 or whatever. But here, I just go up here to the height or the width, and I change it here. But remember, only one measurement can be at 11.5. Well, I should say, nothing can be, one measurement can't exceed 11.5. If you have a longer mat, like if you have the 12 by 24 mat, you could do longer, but still wideness has to be 11.5. I hope that makes sense, okay? So this is how you resize them. So when you're going to make it, so you could say, all right, this is great. I'm going to cut this out. It's going to be great. So here's the trick on that, okay? So you're going to go to Make It. You hit your Make It key here. And on this screen, which I'm sorry because it's kind of dark because my image is black. I could have recolored the image. It didn't matter. But over here on the left-hand side, you see mirror with that little eye thing again. And there's like a little toggle switch, okay? So this is where you want to turn it on to green. And you'll notice, I hope you can notice, that the image actually mirrors. It's not just upside down, it mirrors. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning, is that it has to be mirrored. So when you're cutting it out basically on the wrong side of the iron-on, it's the right side, but you know what I'm saying. It's like that shiny part is the protective cover. And the actual matte part is what you're cutting. That's why you have to do the mirroring, okay? And then if you continued on, you will need to choose your type of I don't know if it's going to be able to show me this. No, it's not going to be able to show me this. But you have to choose under custom settings, Iron-On, and there are all different kinds of Iron-On. So just be aware when you're cutting it to look for the proper one. So in this case, this is patterned Iron-On. It cuts on a slightly different setting than this, which is the everyday Iron-On, and it will say that on the tube, okay? This is holographic, and they're slightly different just so that they'll cut out okay, okay? I also wanted to point out that this Iron-On is not infusible ink. Infusible ink comes in this square box, so you can't get confused that it is infusible ink. It's a very similar process, but it requires a little bit more specific heat directed at what you're putting it on, and also the blank. So, and we can continue to go over that as we go along. But just, you know, if you pick this up, infusible ink, it's not that you can't use it, it's a different process, okay? So we're just talking Iron-On. So let's talk about after we cut it. Oh, got so much going on here. Okay. So after I cut it, and you can do it either on the mat or you can take it off the mat, and I'm going to show you both ways. So after you cut it, you have to kind of like turn it a little bit and see where the cutout is. I'm going to try to get close so you can kind of see. And it's best to start in the corner, and I'm using this. This is called a weeding tool. It's just like a little pick. It's a Cricut one. You don't have to use the Cricut one. Some people use different things, whatever works for you. But basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be lifting the excess. I'll try to get real close, right? So we're going to be lifting the excess Iron-On from, this is the backing, that's the shiny side, okay? So we're going to be lifting, and this is the first pass. You just kind of have to hook it in the corner and then pull off. This is just to get the actual shape there, okay? So here is, again, there's my shiny side, my protective sheet, and this is my design that I've cut out, and I'm using my pick, and now I'm going to kind of hold it and look and see and start to pull away the negative pieces. Now, personally, I don't generally weed on the mat, but some people like to do that, so I thought I'd show you both ways. So once you get it started, it kind of just goes on its own, and it's actually a lot easier to weed than vinyl, like the adhesive vinyl, because it kind of sticks. And so if you have a smaller cutout, like small words or letters, then it sort of sticks to that backing. It's kind of sticky. So you just sort of continue to use it, and you might have to, you know, get up close and say, okay, did I get it all? And I didn't, obviously. And I just continue to weed it like this. And this weeding process is the same for all the types, including the patterns and the the mesh. Okay, so here you go. I've got this. So I also did this same thing in the mesh, and I wanted to show you how it weeds because it's a little tricky. I think if I were starting out with Iron-On, I probably wouldn't start off with mesh. Mesh is really cool, and there's some glitter mesh, there's Mickey Mouse ears, there's a lot of really good options there. But when I was cutting it, I noticed it kind of was a little weird, like it was making noises from all the holes. And then I said, oh my goodness, how am I going to weed this? So I wanted to show you how it weeds. It's a little bit tricky. It's not impossible, of course, but it's a little tricky, and it's the kind of thing you have to really pay attention to. And so here we go. Because of the holes, I think, I don't know. But here's the mesh one. See? it's the same design, cut the exact same way. It's going to be applied slightly differently, but that's how you do it, okay? Yep. And it is messy, by the way. Not as messy as working with vinyl, adhesive vinyl. That stuff sticks to everything, including dogs' noses and your shirts and everything else. I've walked around with pieces of vinyl stuck to me, not even knowing it, or stuck to my face, or whatever the case may be. So this stuff, not so much. It's kind of got a I don't know, what's that, friction kind of a feel to it though. So it's light. It doesn't stick so much. Okay, I think I just have to do the S and the O. The S. It's a little trickier, I think, to weed this mesh stuff. I think because the pick doesn't, it goes into the holes a little bit. Mesh is good for, I think, for like sporty type of wears, and it would also be awesome to layer with. And we're going to do layering in a bit, in a future show. So here it is. When you turn it around, same thing with this one. Take it off the mat. This is how you're going to apply it. Like this, right? You're going to use this it's like basically a transfer sheet or a carrier sheet. Yeah, the mesh, the thing about Iron-On is it's really forgiving. It goes on just about everything. Infusible ink doesn't. It has to be a high polyester count. But the mesh is great for like sporty things, like t-shirts and stuff. There's also something called Sport Flex Iron-On that is specifically for that high polyester count. That is not infusible ink. That's just regular Iron-On. So this is what you end up with, and let me show you some of the things that I've done. I've got this, and I did this in, it's called Rad and Happy Patterned Iron-On, right? And it has little narwhals on it. And then we've got this patterned one, this other patterned one. Oops. This is that My Little Canvas Tote, and this was a patterned one. I think this was yes, it was at Anna Griffin. It was from Anna Griffin. And this is a glitter Iron-On. I actually really like the glitter Iron-On. It goes on very well for me, and I've had a lot of success with it. And then, of course, we've got this one that we did in the metallic, and this one that we've done in the mesh, okay? So I'm going to try to show you a couple of these. The first thing that we need to talk about, though, is heating and the heat guide, because this goes on with heat. Heat transfer vinyl, or Iron-On, implies that it requires some sort of an iron to transfer it to the material. And in this case, I found these wonderful little totes. They were inexpensive, I think they were about $20 for 12 of them. And they're really a nice size, and you could do both sides. And it is called 100% canvas, so it's kind of a little scratchy. It's not like t-shirt material, so it does require that you use special settings. Now, a lot of people don't know about this, and I don't know why. There is this wonderful, wonderful guide for you on Cricut, and I really think if you can try to bookmark it, it would be the best thing if you're trying to accomplish, good stuff with Iron-On. It's called the Cricut Heat Guide, and you can just search in Google Cricut Heat Guide, and you'll come up with this. And what it tells you is of the 3 Easy Presses that they have, and granted, there are other iron presses, whatever they're called. There are other, what do they call them? presses. There are other presses out there that people make. You can use those, that's fine. But Cricut's only going to, you know, give you information on stuff that they know about. And so therefore, they're only going to show you their three easy presses. So in this case, you can choose which one you have. You can choose the Easy Press Mini, the Easy Press 2, or if you have the original Easy Press, you choose that first, and then you go on and choose. I'm going to use my Easy Press 2, which is right over here off camera. I'm going to move it so I can show you how this works, but I'm going to use Cricut Easy Press 2, and then I have to tell them what kind of material am I using. Okay, so in this case, why don't we do the patterned iron-on for the next one? So here are all my choices. So I'm going to choose patterned iron-on, okay? And then I have to tell them the base material. So in this case, we know is a cotton canvas. All right, we do have to choose, are you going to use the mat? This is a mat. You don't have to use the mat. You can use a towel, but the mats are great and they keep your surface protected. So I have a mat, so I'm going to choose mat, and then I hit apply. And it immediately brings up to me the temperature that I need to do it at and for how long I need to do it. So in this case, it's patterned iron-on, right? And I need to set my press for 340 seconds, and I have to press it for 50 seconds. But do note that above and below, it tells you some really important things. First, it's telling me I need to preheat my base product for 5 seconds before putting on. That's really important, and a step that I often will miss, and I have to keep reminding myself, preheat, 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 because it just kind of prepares your product. I'm trying to get a blank one. It prepares your product to accept the iron-on, okay? So there's that preheat. And then it's telling me I need to use firm pressure, and then after I do it, I'm gonna flip it over and heat it on the back side for 15 seconds. That's kind of an insurance policy that it's gonna stick. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to allow it to cool. That's really important. A lot of people, because they're so excited, they want to just do it right away. And sometimes that causes problems. It's so much easier if you wait for it to cool, okay? And then it will also give you supplies, preparation, application, and care. Okay, and let's take this one with the narwhal. Oh, no, I like this one. Let's do this one first. So this is the patterned iron-on, and I'm going to put it on my mat. Put my little tote on the mat and kind of just eyeball it where I want it. I cut this at 11.5 inches, so it looks like it's really square on there, but I have to lift it to preheat. That's where I always get confused myself. So to the left, I have my Easy Press. I'm going to try to move it into view a little bit. Let me see if I can move you guys a little bit. Here we go. So I have my Easy Press. Now, my Easy Press, first of all, Easy Press is very, very hot. Please be very, very careful, okay, when you're working with it, because it is extremely hot and you will hurt yourself. To turn it on, you press this button. It's like just the regular, you know, like technology button. You turn it on. And to set the temperature, remember we have to set the temperature, and what did it tell us? The temperature was 340. You press this button. Now I already had mine set for 350 and I warmed it up, but I want to show you how to change it in case you need to change it. So you press this and you'll see that it starts to blink, and then you use the plus like that, or the minus like that, to make it the temperature. Now it will it will beep and tell you when it's ready, when it's set. But that's how you change the temperature, with the plus and minus. You also change the time, and this is the time that they tell us, 50 seconds, which we have to change because mine's set for 30. So I'm going to press that button again and then up it to 50 seconds. Okay. Now it's just adjusting, and here we go. My light is on. It's green. Okay. I'm going to preheat. Let me see if I can do this so that everything's in view. Sorry for bumping the camera. Okay, so let's put this aside. And we just pick it up, and it is in a base. See, this is a base. The base gets hot too, but it's good. And by the way, the machines turn themselves off if you leave them unattended for too long. So you don't have to worry about, you know, any kind of danger to, you know, your craft studio, your house, or whatever. And they have this little handle. They're not so much for pushing. There's not a lot of pushing, but they're mostly for moving. And you can move these with Iron-On. With infusible ink, you cannot, because it can cause problems, okay? And remember, our image is actually bigger than the surface of this Easy Press. But that's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to move that Easy Press around. Now that we've preheated it, let's go put it back where we want it. I like it here. Okay, so I'm going to pick up my Easy Press. And so sorry, everybody's calling me this morning. When I'm working with a bigger image, I usually start up in the corner and kind of make it in a quadrant. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I touch the little green button so that I know it's gonna count the 50 seconds. It said firm pressure, so I am just sort of pressing on it a little bit. The machine's pretty heavy, so the pressure is not, it's more the heat and the constant heat that is causing that connection. The pressure, you don't have to be, I remember people saying, oh, I'm going to stand on it to make sure it's really about the adhesive that's on that in Iron-On piece, okay? And once I kind of do that, I'm going to kind of move it over carefully. I don't want to move my piece, you know, but I don't have to worry about, you know, about it lifting or anything like that. So it's coming up on the 50 seconds, and I'm going to pick it up and move it over, hit the button again. And while we're sitting here, we can see, you know, that that's hot, and it's very hot. Don't touch it, okay? This is the medium-sized Easy Press. What is it? Like, I think it's 9 by 9. I do have all three and the mini. The big one, for me, it's too big. I just can't, I have a hard time working with it. It's great for these large projects. But I've always kind of fell back to the mini and really loved it. Not the mini, the medium size. When the mini came out last year, I really got hooked on the mini, and I started using things with the mini. What I found, though, is that with canvas, this thick canvas, the mini is not recommended. It might work, but it's not recommended by Cricut. So here we go. So I'm doing this in quadrants. So we've done this is our third piece. And yeah, there might be some overlap, and that should be okay. Okay, but it's very, very hot. Again, I need to caution you, just be very, very careful. It's okay, April, I'm going to do it on the replay so you can see it on the replay. And then, again, the pressure, it's not like, oh, you don't have to like really, you know, push down. Just a firm pressure just to make sure that it's making that contact with your blank, okay? And then the last piece is coming up. Then we're going to flip it over. 3, 2, 1, move it over. Now, one thing I will tell you about the Easy Press is that you have to watch out if you have something that has like a seam or an edge, because often the contact, when you put the press on there, it's not flat. okay? And so be careful of that, because sometimes you can end up with problems there, and you don't want that. So, and that's where the mini comes in, because the mini, it's very, easy to get around things. So if you were right up against a seam and you really need to get in there, you can use the mini and sort of, kind of seam it out. That's why I think having both of these is good, but if you can only afford one, obviously, just order the one that you feel like you're going to use the most. So okay, there's our 4 quadrants that we've done. We're not quite done yet, although it looks really, really well adhered. We're going to flip it over. We're just going to give it 15 seconds. I'm just going to do the whole thing 15 seconds. That's good. Okay. Move this over. Okay, so now we've got our tote, and we want to make sure it's cooled off. It's still pretty hot, so I'm gonna just keep talking until I can sort of get it to so that it's not going to burn my fingers. Actually, I'm having a reaction to the chemo. I talked to the doctor this morning, so I don't want to do anything terrible to my hands any more than I've experienced recently. But I think it's going to be able to pull up pretty nicely. It's still a little hot, but okay. So you can start to peeling on one of the corners. Now, this is how I peel it. Some people, I think they want to just make this big reveal, but I am very careful about it, because if there is anything that lifts, you might want to go back and hit that spot. But I'm pretty sure we're not going to have lift, but I just sort of like curl it back. This is what I mean. It's hot, so I curl it back, and see how beautiful it's coming out. And that is it. Isn't it beautiful? Do you love it? I love it. And I'm definitely going to be using it for my groceries. Maybe I could have put it a little bit over to the left, but to be honest, I think it looks really nice. I love this pattern. I want to show you which pattern that's from. Where is it? It's from this one, which is called Anna Griffin Charlotte Sampler. It had 3 different patterns, okay? These 2, and then this black and white one. And there are a lot of different patterns. I don't want you to be afraid of trying them. They just require slightly different methods, or like temperatures and times, but they come out really, really well. And it's just really a fun little thing here. Oh yes, an Easy Press would make a great Christmas gift. And again, do know that Cricut Iron-On can be used with an iron. So if you're looking at this going, well, I don't have an Easy Press, but I really want to try Iron-On, you can if you have a household iron, okay? And there are directions in here. Now, let me see if I can show them to you. There are directions on, they tell you to go to Cricut.com. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've had like 5 phone calls today, and I thought I put it on, Do Not Disturb. So anyway, so this is Cricut Iron-On. It's really not difficult. It does take a little bit of patience to learn the process. The 2 most important things that I would point out to you is mirror. Make sure you mirror, okay? And then the second thing is to put the shiny side on the mat. Okay, and April is saying she's used her iron for t-shirts, and I have too. I made my son a bunch of t-shirts back before I got the Easy Press. They've worked out. He grew out of them, you know, and it's really just a simple process. You just have to follow the directions that are on Cricut.com, and then also remember the heat guide and do a search on Google, the heat guide. Okay, so I think that is all that we're going to do today, and I want to entertain any questions because I know there's always a lot of questions about this, but I realized that, you know, I've been going on for about 40 minutes. So what I wanted to do is to, you know, let you guys, if you have questions afterwards, to please ask them on the feed, and then I can answer them, because I'm going to repost these. I repost this video to my YouTube channel, and then also into my Facebook group and my Facebook page. And we've got a number of Facebook groups that if you're a part of one of them, you'll probably see the video on there, including the Miss Rita to the Rescue community group, which is new. I also have a brand new group called the Just Cricut Joy with Miss Rita to the Rescue. If you haven't found that and you are interested in the joy, feel free to sign up for that. Okay, everyone. So questions, I welcome them. Feel free to put them on the comments as you're watching the video, even if you're doing it as replay. And tomorrow we're going to do a little more iron-on. I'm thinking that we're going to just talk about holographic, because I know I get a lot of questions about the holographic, and I wanted to show you how holographic changes with color. And we got those colored makeup bags, so I wanted to show you how differently it looks with different colors. Okay, so thanks so much. You don't necessarily need an Easy Press, by the way, Lynn. Okay, oh yay me, I hope you enjoy it. Take it right out of the box. Take that maker right out of the box. Do not let it sit in the box. You just get it out and start working away. Okay, all right, we'll see you all tomorrow. If you have any questions, remember, ask away on my Facebook page. You can also email me at missritatotherescue@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.